once you've added the buyers and their email addresses, is now time to go ahead and put in the property addresses. So I'm going to go ahead and retrieve that information. Okay. So again, this is the property address here. So I'm going to use that property address and I'm going to put that address up here. Okay, here it is. This is the property address and then property details, show on map. Okay, let's look at the property details. And this is the property. And then you want to, let's see, create a transaction. Okay, this is a sale and we are on the buyer side. So we'll select these two and we'll go to the next step. Notice how this populates on its own with the property address, with the MLS number. You see, and that all matches. So now what we're going to do is we're going to type in the buyer's name. Okay, this buyer number 1, and then buyer number 2. Now, I'm not sure if this is the correct seller or not. So I'm actually going to take it off because I find that sometimes when it's there, it confuses the system. So I'm just going to take it off. All right. And then I'm going to continue. So now, this is interesting. So there's several documents that are needed whenever you are preparing an offer. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this sheet over here so that we can make a note of what is usually required. All right. So we'll just make a note down here. Okay. So first of all, before you even started showing the properties to anyone, you needed to have the pre-approval letter or the proof of funds. Okay. Once you have that, you're good to go. All right. So then when you're preparing the offer, you're going to need what you call the purchase and sale agreement. Okay. So I'm going to be writing down some of these things that we need. So whenever you are getting ready to put in an offer, you want to make sure that you specify what type of financing they're going to use. So there's a document for that. And that is either the conventional, it could be a conventional loan, an FHA loan, VA, USDA loan, it could be cash. Okay. In this situation, this transaction, the buyer's getting a conventional loan. Okay. So we need to make sure that we have the conventional loan exhibit. There's going to be several exhibits that we're going to use. And typically what I do is I pull up the purchase and sale agreement, and in not the last page, but I believe is the next to the last page, you'll find a list of different exhibits, and that kind of gives you a clue of what documents you'll need to include in this contract as to be part of the contract. Okay. So I'm going to type in some things that I know we're going to need. So we're going to need the instructions to the closing attorney. We're going to need the escrow agreement. So we'll put this up here. escrow agreement. The escrow agreement is basically, since our brokerage does not hold earnest money, we typically have the closing attorney or propose for the closing attorney to be the one that holds the earnest money. So we're going to need, there's two documents. There's the escrow agreement, and then there's the exhibit. The exhibit, it specifies or it allows both the buyer and the seller to agree for the closing attorney to be the one to hold the earnest money. And then the escrow agreement is the document where the closing attorney signs off saying that that office is willing to hold the earnest money, okay, is being responsible for that earnest money. So here's the escrow agreement, and then down here there's going to be an exhibit, okay? So we'll put exhibit, and we'll put a blank here because we don't know what exhibit letter it's going to be. So we'll put it here, attorney hold earnest money deposit, okay? And then this conventional loan is going to be an exhibit as well. Oops, I didn't spell that right. All of this is going to all make sense soon, okay? All right. And there's going to be some other exhibits that we're going to include in here. Let me look at this because I had made some notes. Oh, seller's property disclosure, community association disclosure. So from what I understood, there is an HOA in this community. So that's going to be, that's also going to be in an exhibit. So we're going to put exhibit, and whatever that letter is going to be the community association disclosure. Okay. And then there's going to be another one, which is the seller's property disclosure. Okay. Then what we're going to ask for is for them to include a legal description. We usually ask for them to include a copy of the deed showing the legal description, because what we're wanting to do is make sure that we get a copy of a legal document that that shows that legal description, because we want to make sure that there's no human error, like somebody accidentally types in the wrong information, because that's really important to get that legal description properly inputted into the purchase and sale agreement. So, all right, so we have these are just, we just made some notes, right? So with that said, these are the documents that we're going to like request be pulled in to our forms. Okay, so we have the pre-approval letter. That's something that you'll probably have downloaded on your computer, and you're going to need to upload into Remind. The other thing we're going to request that we pull in the escrow agreement, the purchase and sale agreement, the exhibit for the closing attorney to hold the earnest money deposit, an exhibit for the community association disclosure, an exhibit for the conventional loan, an exhibit for the legal description, and the exhibit for the seller's property disclosure. Now, the things that I highlight are things that the seller should have already filled out or provide to you, okay? So the seller's property disclosure, the listing agent will, ask the seller to fill this out, and then we'll upload it to the listing. That's what I had shown you earlier, where the listing had those documents attached, and you can just download them, have them ready so that those could be included into the offer. So the legal description is something the seller would also provide. There's nothing to be filled out. Maybe the seller might put his initials on there, and then you ultimately, not you, but the buyer would ultimately receive it, and then initial it as well. The other thing that the seller would have filled out is the community association disclosure. This is something that the seller would fill out as well, okay? And would provide, because the seller has the information about the community association, or may consult with the association to help them to complete this form. Okay? These other documents that I did not highlight, these are documents that you as the agent would initiate. Okay? You'd complete that, fill that out, and then send it along with all of these documents to the listing agent so that the seller can sign off on these documents. Okay? That includes whatever type of loan exhibit as well. Okay? So I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to use this as a reference. I'm looking at it while I continue here, because what I'm wanting to do is I'm going to type in the documents that I need. So I'm going to type attorney, okay? Because when I type attorney, several of the documents that I need will show up here. Okay, so we talked about the instructions to the closing attorney. Okay, cool. There it is. Got that. Here's the closing attorney acting as holder of earnest money exhibit. Okay, we now have that. I'm going to start highlighting in a different color the ones that I have so that I make sure that I get everything. Okay. All right. So those two we have. Next thing, we need this 511, the buyer side, because we're representing the buyer. It says agreement of closing attorney to serve as holder of earnest money. And notice how in parentheses it says escrow agreement. That's what we discussed earlier. So let me go ahead and highlight this, the escrow agreement, as a document that we have here now. Okay, what else is left? We have, let's see, I think that's what we needed. Then we need the purchase and sell agreement. You need to make sure that you read this carefully, because there's different types of purchase and sell agreements. There's the purchase and sell agreement for lots, for land, for new construction. What we need is just the general purchase and sell agreement. So we'll select that. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight that as a document that we've already pulled in. Next thing. Okay, we want the community, let's put disclosure. Okay, let's see. Disclosure. So remember I told you the items that we highlighted in yellow, those are documents that the seller's side is going to be providing to us. So I know I said disclosure, but discard that, because we are actually going to get those from the listing agent, because since it wasn't on the listing, I've already requested it and I'm just waiting for those to arrive. And once those arrive, we'll upload it into the offer package. Okay. The only thing that I have left here from my list is the conventional loan exhibit. Conventional. Okay. Here it is. Conventional loan exhibit contingency. Okay. So as you can tell, everything that was selected, it's listed right here below. Okay. That's everything. And I'm highlighting the conventional loan and changing its color. All right. And then I'm clicking next. All right. So those are the documents. These are all the documents that I was asking the system to provide me with. Every year around October is when you pay your NAMAR dues. Those are your association of realtors' dues, so that you have access to the GAR forms, the GAR forms. And this is important so that you can prepare offers using these GAR forms. Some agents are not members of the association, and they use what they call RE forms. The norm here in Georgia, or at least in Metro Atlanta, is to use the GAR forms. And many occasions when you're not using GAR forms, it's an aggravation to other agents, because the agents that are realtors, they already know, like every year we take the time at the beginning of the year to take classes and get up to speed as to what changes that have happened with the contracts. And when you receive a contract on a different form, then you have to go and get familiarized with that form. It's kind of a pain in the neck. So it's always best that it's a requirement for Beautiful Georgia Homes agents to be a member of NAMAR. But in general terms, it's a good idea to have access to these documents. All right. So with that said, I like to put these in an order that makes sense to me. I usually have the instructions to closing attorney at the end. The purchase and sale agreement is towards the top, and then closing attorney. Let's see. I usually have the escrow agreement at the top. Somewhere around here. Okay, and then I do rename them because I want them to be easy for me to find. So I'll put this and I'll call this here. This is the just short escrow agreement. Okay, and then here, rename this. I like PSA, purchase and sell agreement. I like it nice and short. And then here, this is rename. I'll put ATTY, hold EMD, and I put exhibit blank. All right. And then done. And then I put here rename. Where is that? There it is. Okay. The loan. Okay. Conventional loan exhibit. Okay. And done. And then here, I rename this. I'm going to rename it instructions. I use acronyms to close the attorney. I like it nice and short. Okay. So, okay. The other exhibits, like I mentioned before, we're going to get those from the listing agent. And then whenever we get them, what we'll do is we'll do an upload, and then we'll rename them however we want to rename it. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is the purchase and sale agreement. So when you go into the purchase and sale agreement, and then I don't know if you remember this, but I told you that not the last page, but the next to the last page, if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see here the purchase and sale agreement is 9 pages. This last page is the signature page. This next to the last page, it has the information about the exhibits. Okay. So what I typically do, I'm going to see if I can make this a little bit smaller here. I know it's a little bit hard to see this. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. Okay, there we go. And then on this other side, I'm going to try to put this other document so that you can see. Let's see, try to make this a little bit smaller. Okay. But I think at least you get a gist of what it is, what it says. Okay, there it is. Okay, so what I usually do is I just start reading this clause number 8, exhibits and addenda. Backup agreement contingency. This is not going to be used. This is in case the seller has already accepted a contract and maybe your buyer's interested in holding the second place position. Okay? Closing attorney acting as the holder of the earnest money. Yes, that is an exhibit that we need to include as part of this. Community association disclosure. Yes. Condominium resale purchase and sale. No, because it's not a condo. Conventional loan contingency. Yes. FHA loan contingency. No. Lead-based paint. No, because now it was not built on or before 78. Lease purchase and sale exhibit. Lease purchase and sale exhibit. No. Lease for lease purchase agreement. No. Legal description. Yes, because we were asking for that. Loan assumption. No. No financing contingency. No. Sale or lease of buyer's property contingency. Yes, because we're wanting to make sure that our buyers are protected in case they cannot sell their current house. Okay. Then seller's property disclosure statement. Yes. Survey of property as exhibit. No. Temporary occupancy agreement for sellers after closing. No. USDA. Okay. None of these other ones apply. So now that we have these marked, we can go ahead and put letters, assign letters to each one of these. Okay. So we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, E, F. Okay. So let's see here. Community association disclosure, that's B. Okay. Okay. All right. Community association disclosure, the loan exhibit, conventional loan exhibit, that's going to be C. Okay. And then legal description is going to be D. Seller's property disclosure, once they send it to us, will be F. Okay. Attorney hold the earnest money. Okay, that's going to be A. Okay, so far, if you can tell here, we have A, B, C, D. Where's E? E is this. Okay, so we need to add that. So you know how we had added those documents? It's going to be a little bit different now since they've already uploaded the documents that we initially pulled in. So this is a document that's missing, the sale or lease of buyer's property contingency. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Forms, and it's Form F601. And then I'm going to put F601. That's like the fastest way. Well, that's if you type it right. 601. Okay, here it is. So we do this, we select it and click next. Okay, so that's been added. So A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, all of these have been assigned. Okay, all right, just double checking it. Okay, so let me show you this. So this is the purchase and sale agreement. And that's how I usually start. I don't start here. I start on the next to the last page so that I know which documents we're going to include. Okay. Then I want to go over this with you. You see, this document is the one that I just pulled in, the sale or purchase of buyer's property is contingency. and whatever exhibit letter that's going to be. Okay.